Hi folks, it's Kyle here from Vaughan Radio, and I want to remind you about my show, By Request, on Vaughan Radio. This is the show where you're the boss, where you send me your questions and I answer them live on the radio. The address is right here, by request at grupovaughan.com. Now today I'm going to answer a question that was sent to me by Maria from here in Madrid. And Maria asked about the passive voice. Of course, I suppose I could spend 15 minutes talking about the passive voice, or even an hour or 2 hours talking about it, but I'll give you a quick explanation. With the passive voice, we have to think about two things. First of all, we have to think about when we use the passive voice. When and why, and then we have to think of how we use it. So basically, we want to use the passive voice when we want to emphasize a certain subject or de-emphasize another subject. A great example is Kennedy. For example, who shot Kennedy? They say Oswald shot Kennedy. But historically, Kennedy is much more important than Oswald. So we want Kennedy to be the subject of that sentence. We want to emphasize Kennedy in the newspapers. Kennedy was shot by Oswald. But we don't want Oswald to be the subject. So we would say Kennedy was shot. So with the passive voice, the subject is receiving the action, receiving the verb, if you will. So that's one important use. Another use is to present information from a certain angle, let's say, or even to make bad news less harsh. For example, a boss would say, "I'm sorry, but you're fired." A boss is never going to say, "I'm firing you," because the boss isn't going to be proud of that. Imagine you have a cat. I always give the same example on the radio. I've given it a few times, but imagine you have a cat and your cat lives outside, let's say. Well, unfortunately your cat one day is running around. I'm driving my car and I hit your cat. Terrible. So I go to the door and I say, "Hey, excuse me, I'm sorry, but your cat has been hit by a car." I'm not going to say, "I hit your cat." I could, but I don't want to emphasize the fact that I'm responsible. So if you master the passive voice, it allows you to present the information from a different angle and emphasize the details that are most important to you, and it allows you to become a more effective communicator. Now, how do we use the passive voice? We have to remember that with the passive voice, when we change from active to passive, the tense does not change. Present simple will be present simple. Present continuous will still be present continuous. But what does happen is the subject is receiving the verb. We always do this by displaying the tense. We display the tense with the verb to be. We always use the verb to be, and then the main verb appears in the participle. Okay? For example, we have an example here. I don't know if you can see this. Someone is doing it now. Someone is doing it now. And we have the verb to do. So the participle of the verb to do, third conjugation, is done. So we would say, "It is being done." This is number one. It is being done. Present continuous. Someone is doing it now. In the passive voice, it is being done. Here we have, someone does it every day. In the passive voice, we would say, "It is done every day." Present simple. A third example, someone was doing it when I arrived. The past continuous. It was being done. So we have the verb to be, taking the tense, the ing, the gerund. It was being done when I arrived. Okay? Lots more examples like this you can hear on By Request, and also in lots of Vaughan materials where we review topics just like this one. If you have any more questions, you can email me. Again, the address is byrequest@grupovaughan.com. See you soon.